But while I was at Theater Fairfield, I too was on kind of the Theater Fairfield board. That's me down in the bottom left at our awards banquet at the end of the year, where we always gave paper plate awards. And uh, even in that moment of we gave every single person who came to our theater awards banquet, regardless of what your role was, we gave everyone an award, because there was something we could celebrate about everyone. And I'd say that's something that I've taken away and really have brought into my business career. While at Fairfield, I was not on stage a ton. My only two performances are pictured here. I was in As You Like It, and then also a class act, which was a compilation of poetry pieces. And but otherwise, I was more frequently seen wearing one of these black shirts with my fellow stage managers or tech crew. And I had the great opportunity to train some other stage managers after me as well. And like Marty mentioned, I actually don't, because I've been talking about theater and its impact on my business. I've been trying to remind myself of when I first got introduced to Theater of the Oppressed, and I don't actually remember the moment, but I remember being like, this is amazing. And I will show you a little bit about that in a moment. And my experience of writing my honors thesis on the Theater of the Oppressed, and as you can see from the title, the value of theater off stage, has really just stuck with me for my entire career and driven most of the ways that I interact with people in business. Since Theater Fairfield, I also still have had some fun performing, and I have been in different improv troupes and done, I think I've performed in 6 different states doing improv. I also fell into ballroom dance. I was part of the ballroom dance club at Fairfield as well. And as you can see, I also did some competitions while I lived in Utah. You know, as a theater person, you are always poised and ready for a costume party. So that doesn't stop after college. And then of course, public speaking as well. So, and then part of what I have loved so much is that I have been able to adapt all the lessons that I learned from theater into the business world. And, you know, like Marty mentioned in my bio, the tech world has really been a place where I've felt like I have thrived. And, you know, Jen, you kind of reminded me of the importance of that word ensemble. And I really feel like that is what a lot of the tech world is trying to do and trying to create in their cultures, is this sense of ensemble and community. But while I was there, I also found that they weren't always fulfilling on the promise of a ensemble based company, or as a, you know, a community, where there were still a lot of workplace challenges around, you know, toxic communication and, you know, managers who had no training. And so I actually took these roles because I knew it eventually I wanted to bring Theater of the Oppressed and theater in general to the business world, but that I needed some street cred. And so, and happened to find a career in the business world that I also really loved. But now I realize that it is my theater background that has made the biggest difference for me in terms of connecting with others, being on an effective team, meeting deadlines, and so many more things that I'm sure we're going to talk about. But in my business, McLaughlin Method, you know, I focus really heavily on building actionable skills and practicing. We have to have that rehearsal for reality that Augusta Boal, who is the founder of the Theater of the Oppressed, talks about. And so I recreate that in my workshops and programs with various companies and with leaders. And the biggest thing that I use from the Theater of the Oppressed is a technique called image theater, which is all about expressing yourself without knowing the right words. And this is a really awesome opportunity for people to build empathy by being able to step into the image that somebody else creates and see what their vantage point is. And I feel like that's another thing that I have gotten from theater that I want to share with the world, because when doing scene study and thinking about these characters, every character has value, including the villain. And you have to find the reasons why each of those characters is motivated to do what they're going to do. And you have to use different techniques and different tactics to try to get what you want throughout the course of that show. And I feel like that is probably the biggest lesson that I've taken away when it comes to persuasive communication or building teams. I did some in-person workshops before COVID, of course, and lots of fun to be had. And now I've been adapting these theater in business exercises and games into a virtual setting. And just a quick plug, I do have a free virtual event coming up. If anybody wants to see this in action, and if you're leading a remote team, I'll pop the link in the chat. But yeah, thanks again for having me, Marty, and just so honored to be here.
Wow, thank you.